What's up, internet, entertainment consumers of the internet? We're here with our Black Mirror takes. We're gonna run through. I got ViralRak, my good friend Johnny Cheese Wedge here.
What's happening? I'm the
with
cheese
us,
ball.
and we are going to be just having a good time
Yeah.
going through our episodes.
Given our takes, no
given
matter
our-
how the temperature.
Given our lukewarm takes over here. Yeah. Okay, so I think how we're going to do this is we are going to start from the bottom of our list. So I don't like saying the word worst because there's only one episode of Black Mirror I hate, and it's at the very bottom. So
There's at least 5 on here that I hate.
It's a strong word.
It is, but man, do the episodes I don't like, I passionately have a distaste for. But that's just me. We'll start at the bottom of the least good and work our way to the bestest
the
best
least good, and then going up to the best boys. So my number 23 episode, my bottom episode, the one I can't stand,
Jim Carrey,
is White Bear from season 2. I'm not really blown away by that episode in any capacity. I think the last 5 to 10 minutes of it treats the audience like it's stupid.
Yeah.
Basically, it's sitting the character down, but it's also sitting the audience down saying, this is what this entire episode was about.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Yeah. Fuck this episode. The initial you wake up, you don't know what's going on, people are trying to kill you, and people are filming it, not helping you. That's interesting. But they take it somewhere really dumb. I didn't care. And the fact that the town itself is more of a, I don't want to say they're a villain, but they're just as bad as the person that they're fucking with their whole life. That's not cool. I didn't like the world that this episode built. And it's an episode that I've never wanted to watch again after I was finished. I was like, that left a bitter taste in my mouth. And I don't want to watch it again.
The next episode, so not the worst, but perhaps the second worst on my list, is 15 Million Merits.
Hey, same!
Oh, yay!
Yeah.
Oh my god, something we agree on.
Yeah.
I watched it and I was like, ooh. It started great because I did like the world this one built at first, but where it went, I just didn't get it. Like, I understood what they were trying to do, and I understood, there were a lot of elements going on, within that world they created, but I couldn't root for any of the characters, and I didn't care about the ending at all.
Thank you. Daniel Kaluuya's performance is the only thing that I care about walking away from this episode, and they undercut it with the bullshit ending. They undercut everything that dude pours into that character with a shitty fucking ending. The world, like you said, the world they built, I actually really enjoy. I hate the ending. Like, his speech is great. It's really powerful, and it is the message of the episode. And they're like, fuck that. No, he's actually another cog in the machine, and fuck you. Like, this episode gives you the biggest middle finger, and you're supposed to be okay with that. And I'm like, no. You had a cool idea, and you got really preachy with it. And you tried to be really edgy with it, and it just...
So the next episode, the third from the bottom on my list, is Metalhead. So I'm actually surprised this ended up this low on my list, but because I had it higher originally, I had it 2 or 3 spots higher, but the more I thought about it, the more I just really don't like the episode, and everyone thinks it is absolutely amazing. I will agree, it was shot beautifully.
Yeah.
It looks amazing, but I think some of these episodes I just get upset because I feel like they could have done something way better with the ending. I am a fan of these kind of dystopian futures, these wastelands, things like that. It's hard to put into words how dissatisfying the ending was for me. Well, it's similar to another episode that's coming up where I feel like the commentary they were trying to make could have been done a lot better.
Because this used to be really low for me as well, but I started looking at it like a B monster movie, and I liked it a lot more. I started taking this episode a lot less seriously, and which is the antithesis of Black Mirror. Black Mirror feels like a show that's supposed to be taken incredibly seriously. Charlie Brooker wants you to know he's got some fucked up shit he wants you to see, and you're gonna. But like, it's the only episode that's completely in black and white. It's the only episode that's like really trying to be artsy, but it's about a monster chasing a person. So like, I started viewing this episode as a kind of monster movie, and I liked it a lot more.
I couldn't give it that higher ranking because I just dislike the plot so much. And there are a few of these where I'm like, I could have come up with a better ending.
Oh, yeah.
Which, like, obviously I probably couldn't, but, like... So next up on my list, Archangel. This episode, I don't have any major problems with how it was executed. It's just that the plot was so... Here it is. This is bad. Obviously, like, we basically knew where that was going the entire episode, and it was just a little boring for me.
I hate when Black Mirror gets preachy. Like, when it gets, like, overabundantly preachy. It's why my least favorite episode is my least favorite episode. And Archangel is one of those, I'm gonna get preachy. It's a soapbox episode, and it's annoying to see. There's potential there. There's potential with protective parenting and addressing that topic through technology, but the way that they did it was so cut and dry that it left just a nothing feeling from myself walking away from that episode.
Next on the list.
Fourth worst. Yeah, fifth worst is where we're at now.
Fifth worst. I have Men Against Fire.
So this is my fourth worst, so we just have those switched.
I don't think this is a terrible episode. This is another one where I think I could have executed it better. I don't like when I can tell where the episode is going, like, 15 minutes into it. With the whole, like, you know, government planting things in the military's brains to, you know, recognize other people as mutants, you know, it's a cool idea. The moral of the episode, it's solid, but it's something that, especially, like, it's a pretty serious topic, and I think it could have been done much better.
Yeah, but like times 1,000. You have a really nice idea, and you make it the most predictable, like just shallow, base level type of story. Like even the ending, as much as I like the image in the ending, that's the one real compliment I can give it. Because the acting is so, like, it's 15 million merits levels of, like, over the top and hammy, and, like, everyone's just mugging for the camera, and, again, like you said, I like the idea of, like, the government and planning to make bad guys more digestible to kill, but, like, hey, we do really fucked up shit to soldiers to get them to want to kill other people, so, like, why not explore that topic? I really hate this episode. The only reason why it's not lower is because I really hate White Bear 15 million and the one much more.
Redacted.
Much more. Redacted. Redact me, please.
I think it scratched the surface of a very, very important topic, and it could have done more. Next up, 6 from the bottom. I have the national anthem. If you watched Black Mirror in order, that's the first episode you get exposed to, and it is a lot to take in. It is super disturbing and, like, just gross and icky. It's low on my list because other episodes do the same sentiment better, I think.
Yes.
And it was, like, a good introduction to Black Mirror, I feel like, oh, this is where we're going. Like, technology bad, technology all-consuming. Yeah. But it just didn't... It didn't really do anything in a meaningful way for me. It was just kind of a lot of shock value, and then the message of it kind of, I feel like, got buried a little bit, but it was, you know, it was solid. I do not hate this episode, but it just wasn't anything spectacular for me.
I dislike this episode, and I disagree with the sentiment that it's a good first sample of Black Mirror. I think the story builds okay. Like you said, they tackle this subject a lot better in other episodes. It was a weird experience because it was very tepid. Like, I feel like because I had seen some more of the really fucked up shit the show does, I was like, that's it? I think that for a start, it's it wouldn't be the first episode I give to anybody to watch for Black Mirror.
Right, yeah, no, absolutely not.
And I, like you, I love the reveal, but that's, again, the one element that I actually really adore in this episode is the entire reveal, and the fact that it does solidify what Black Mirror is originally going to be about.
I think it's the reveal is good for me, and like kind of the whole concept in general is good, but the build up, the exposition was a little underwhelming, and obviously just kind of gross in general. Without they didn't need to go there, but they
didn't, and like the fact that they did go to that place is really fucking weird.
Next up on my list, breaking ground for season 5, I have Striking Vipers. Black Mirror has an interesting way of handling sexuality. And I don't appreciate the way they did it in this episode. It was just very, like, where are you going with it? What are you doing? Like, production value, on fire. Looks great.
Yeah.
The whole plot of the episode, I didn't get it. Like, why can't you let people be gay? It was just a weird message of, like, guess you can't be happy. Gotta do this. And it just didn't sit right with me.
It had an oddly bitter ending,
It was a little strange. You know, obviously that's the point of a lot of episodes of Black Mirror, like kind of leaving you with like an ooh feeling, but I don't really know. It didn't work for me in this episode at all.
It had a similar feeling that 15 Million Merits Left in Me. I'll give it this. I like the best friend's performance.
Yeah.
He sold a man torn with who he is. Anthony Mackie did not at fucking all. Like there's the gif of him going, "Just kiss me, man," and the way he read that line is fucking like, come on, man. I'm like you. I don't like this episode for how it does its plot, how it concludes its plot. Immediately after you watched it, I remember telling you it's San Junipero for gamers. But, like, in the sense that it has that gamer mentality on top of trying to be, like, tackling gay issues.
I don't think it contributes anything to any conversation. That's what I kind of keep using that line when I talk to people about this episode.
And I think the ending itself is a big reason as to why. Because, like, everybody gets what they want, but they don't really get what they want. And that's the problem. Like, they don't define anything. The ending just happens. And it's like, but there are so many questions I have about what's going on.
It was, it was a cool concept at first. I was like, whoa, like, this could get nuts. And then it got nuts in, like, a backwards, really twisted, reverse way. Yeah. The next episode up above from Striking Vipers is the Waldo moment. This one was a good concept. It was a cute concept. It was fun. It was, it was different. And it was crude. It was crass. It was fun to watch. Yeah. It's really the ending that I'm looking for. Like, I'm looking for that satisfying ending. Whether it's ambiguous, whether it's shocking, it just has to feel like an ending to me. And that one, it just fell a little flat. It was like you built up this entire episode to have this really, like, simple kind of letdown ending. Just the way they did it, it just kind of, like, dropped off, and that was it.
The biggest reason why it's higher for me is because of the prolificness of it, because of the current political landscape. I think that this tackles politics and social media miles better than the national anthem. And the fact that they had this great thread of, this could happen, and it kind of did, to culminate to this Mickey Mouse-esque dystopian future. It's really fucking lame. Because, like, the dude that plays Waldo, I love his performance in it. But that ending is just a steaming pile of poopy poop.
The next episode up on my list, Hated in the Nation, which I think is lower on your list. This episode, to me, it's not the most thrilling. It's not the most, like, amazing ending. It's not the most amazing acting. But what I do really appreciate about it is that it comes full circle. And it's a complete episode. It doesn't leave anything hanging. And I think possibly leaving things hanging wouldn't have worked for this episode. It would have kind of just dropped off and been weird because, like, the episode was so intense and so much happened, and it needed that complete ending, and I feel like it did have that. So it wasn't an amazing, like, blow me away episode, but I thought it was pretty solid.
I like the initial concept. I like the pacing of the story. One of the big reasons why this episode was so low for me is because the bees. The bees themselves were so dumb. They still are. Incredibly dumb.
It's a little cheesy.
To make it digital bees, it's pretty dumb. But I like the ending. I like the ending of this episode a lot. Like you said, it comes full circle. It gives it a great bookend.
The next one on my list is The Entire History of You. I think this is a pretty solid episode. Just one of those where I don't have a ton to say about it. It's a good concept, and I think it was done well. There was no, like, real pull, no, not that every episode needs to have shock or needs to have thrill, but this was just it was very middle of the road for me.
It was super tepid. I'm in the same boat. Like, I like the tech. I like the idea behind it. This is a situation where I saw every major plot point coming, and I was like, it's very cut and dry. I think that the titular couple in the episode sold their failing marriage well. Like you said, it's very like average in the grand scheme of this show. I do like how the tech looks, like when they're using it. I like the way that I like the little production touches that went into that, but I don't feel like there's enough of it in this episode to really set it above another average episode of the show.
Okay, so my 11th from the bottom is Smithereens.
Really?
Yeah. I enjoyed the ending. I really, really, really enjoyed the ending.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of ambiguous endings, but this one I thought did it really, really well. Boy, I thought this was a preachy episode.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It was that in a way that didn't wow me, and it was a little, like, I kind of knew where things were going, but the ending was like, change that, which is why it's not lower, which is why it's not down with like Archangel or anything like that. The whole kidnapping thing was just like spectacular.
Yeah.
But the message of the episode, I didn't really jive with.
And it's funny you mentioned preachy, because again, this, I was told that I was dumb for thinking this is preachy, not in those words, but like, and I felt like I didn't have a leg to stand on, because for those who don't know, I have a show where I film myself talking in my car. I do a lot of Snapchatting from my car. And so for me to hate an episode about culminating to a don't text and drive PSA feels a little on the nose for me. Clearly I don't hate this episode. I like it more than Kailyn. But, man, that fucking... It's so preachy. It's so goddamn preachy. I love the pacing of this episode. It reminded me a lot of another episode that I love a lot more, that is like top 3, and the fact that it's very believable. This is something that could happen now, at least the base plot, a kidnapping via Uber. That probably has happened. They run with that and they take it to an interesting place. But when the ball drops, I literally felt gobsmacked. I was like, really? Come on! Like, I love the performances in this episode. Topher Grace, he channels Eisenberg as Zuckerberg really well in his own fresh way. A lot of fun this episode, but it shat the bed with that preachy shit.
It avoided having a white bear ending. Like,
yes.
it could have, and then it went like this, and
yes.
I'm glad it did.
Yeah.
It was still like, oh, last 10 minutes of the episode, this is what's been going on the whole time.
Yes.
Kind of like that, which I don't love, but it was still a really good episode.
Yeah.
This next one is the moment we've all been waiting for.
Oh, is it time? Is it time?
It's time. The 12th spot. And the bottom of the barrel for Johnny is Nosedive.
Yeah.
So after I just called out Smithereens for being too preachy, a little awkward here, but I think Nosedive and Smithereens can almost be interchangeable for me. It's just that Nosedive looks so nice. And there's a little positivity, there's a little light in there at some places. I understand how it can be too over the top, and I totally understand your justification for having it at the bottom, but please, tell us more.
Nosedive is a point where Black Mirror became what they were writing about. I love the production of this episode. It looks like it's very utopian and it looks sheeny. But no other episode of this show looks like that. Even Striking Vipers, the only place where it looks like that is in the game. This is setting up this utopia society where everything is glitzy. It's Hollywood. This is the most Hollywood Black Mirror episode. This is so clean. Even the dirt looks so shine to pristine. They were flagshipping this episode. It's still the advertised episode when you turn on Black Mirror on Netflix. They fucking love to sell this episode because it has a Hollywood lead, because it has all of this shit that I don't think Black Mirror really stands for. I think it's important for a show like this to address the dangers of social media. Do I think it goes too far? Abso-fucking-lutely. I think it's dumb. I think it's using digital bees dumb as far as using a plot to go forward. Personally, I hate the ending of this episode. I don't mind when the show has a happy ending. The ending of this episode spits in the face, and I feel like is incredibly disingenuous to the viewers and to anyone who might have watched the show before this. I feel like this episode didn't want to go dark because it had an A-lister in the cast, and that's a problem I have with it. You're gonna make a Don't Text and Drive episode culminate and be that intense, but the episode where social media is a bad guy, you're gonna make look like a fucking 5-star Hollywood resort. Get the fuck out of here. Something is off with this episode. I've always felt that, and reflecting on it for this video, I really kind of encapsulated why I don't like it, outside of I hate the social media part about it.
And it's very, like you said, very Hollywood and very much like as if they're trying to put something out there to draw more people into the show because, like, it's bubbly and it's, like, quirky. I hate the ending of that episode. It's so cheesy and unnecessary. So doesn't do anything for me, for anything in this society. The problems you have with it, they're not as big of problems to me. So it's easier for me to give into that production value, give into the, the good acting, give into the plot. So I don't have a ton of issues with this episode because we're starting to get into the ones I can vouch for and will stand by.
For sure.
It did get placed higher on my list because I would watch it again and I would have fun watching it again. And that's one of the things I like.
I would never watch Nosedive again unless friends were like, let's watch Nosedive and torture Johnny. Okay.
This is my number 11 episode now. So I have Black Museum.
So do I!
Spot. Nice!
Yes!
Yay! It has a lot going on.
Yes.
That I don't think all of it works. Yes. Because there's another episode placed higher on my list. I'm just going to give a little spoiler. White Christmas also has a lot going on. Does it flawlessly. Yes. This episode, a lot going on. A lot of throwbacks. And it gets a little hectic at times. I appreciate where it's going. I appreciate the message. I thought the ending was cool. I thought the whole kind of gimmick of the museum was cool, but there was a little too much going on for me at times.
I would agree with that. I almost wish Charlie sat on this idea and made it like the last episode of the show because it has a very final feeling to it. The dark places it goes are on par with like some of my favorite dark places in this show. Because it also has a happy ending of sorts. And I like the ending of this episode. I almost wish Charlie stewed with it a little more and flushed out some of the minor issues I have with it and honed in like a lot of the sporadicness within it to give it a more unified feel.
Number 10 is one from this season, Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2. I just watched this one today, so it's fresh. I did think it was a cool episode, and it was new. And obviously a new episode, but like in kind of a new thing that they've taken on.
For sure.
I really like the use of Miley Cyrus. I thought she was great in this.
Same! Oh, God.
I know one 9 Inch Nails song. So I'm really glad you tipped me on that because I had no idea they were using 9 Inch Nails songs. It was really interesting in that it tackled kind of the concept of the celebrity. Don't really think Black Mirror has done that in this way. Or at all, really. And they were really taking on something new because Striking Vipers, I can compare it to, San Junipero. Smithereens, I can compare to Shut Up and Dance, but I can't really compare Rachel, Jack, and Ashley too, to anything else. Like I'm sure I could make some comparisons here and there, but it really felt fresh for me. I don't think it did anything over the top special, but it was just new and refreshing for me. And after 2 episodes that kind of let me down this season, it was nice to have something that I could, feel was new.
The only episode that really jumps to mind to me that this is comparable to is Archangel.
Okay. Yeah.
Because of the kind of helicopter parenting that her aunt does, but it's handled in a much more graceful manner. And this is an example of them sort of retackling an idea and making it work for the story that they're trying to tell. Like you, I adore Miley Cyrus in this episode. I think that when she's not in the Ashley 2 persona, she's channeling a lot of her own personal life into Ashley, and I like that. I think the music in this episode is fantastic. And I think the production value is really nice as well. I mean, I thought the episode was fun. I thought it was really nice. I thought it was, again, very normal. It has another one of those kind of more optimistic endings that I enjoyed. I think the second half of the episode is a little batshit.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
I don't think it detracts heavily from the episode. I think they could have taken it in a much different direction, but I think, like Nosedive, they tried to reel it back a little bit to utilize their star that they probably paid a lot of money for better. But in this instance, I'm okay with it because they did it in a way that I think worked better than in Nosedive.
I think it's solid. I was just kind of thinking there are elements of it that are a little too almost kind of like a children's movie plot.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. The whole thing with the movie is a kids-based movie.
Them getting the car and crashing into the stadium. It was a little sloppy. The fake rat, coming in handy and using it as a taser is a little cheesy, but I think it didn't detract from the episode too much.
For sure.
It was definitely something that held it back from being a top tier episode, but I don't really think it was heading there anyway. Next up on the list, number 9, San Junipero. A lot of people would have this in their number 1 spot. This was a big hit. Big hit with the population.
They liked it so much they made it twice.
This one, I have always had a weird relationship with this episode because even after I watched it the first time, I did not love it. It is not, I don't hate it. I do not think that is a terrible episode. No. But it's again one of those things where they did not give me gay characters that I could root for. I didn't have any kind of connection with the stories of these characters. And obviously, it's far and away technology. It's things that we're not going to get to in this lifetime, and it's things that I can't conceptualize or relate to. But it's just when you're putting characters in media, especially when you're creating LGBT characters, I think it's important to make them strong. If you're going to do it, you have to do it well, and I don't feel like these are characters that I can root for. And obviously, I'm not going to just like a character because they're gay. I need some other substance behind that, and I don't feel like I got it from this episode. The episode was beautiful. I love the vibe of it. I feel like a lot of people romanticized it, or I think the episode itself romanticized that story, and I don't know if it's necessarily a story that is that romantic. But it was an interesting episode, and I'm still struggling with how I feel about it.
San Junipero, I thought, was an interesting idea. I can't speak on, gay representation. I'm a straight white guy. I think that I've seen, just in my experience, I've seen the gay agenda, as some would say it, represented far worse in media.
Yes, absolutely.
But I do think it, like you said, it romanticizes itself a little too much, and that was my initial issue with it too. I think they swept the one woman's other life under the rug way too fast to expedite the end of the episode. Like, yikes! I love the first half of this episode so much. I love that they're flying through different time periods without giving the viewer any answers. I really respect the writing of the episode in that regard. But the thing that it sets it apart from being an episode that I would say is like top 5 are some of those issues with character dynamics and representation problems and stuff like that. Those are things that hold it from being a truly excellent episode. But like you said, it does romanticize and gloss over a lot of really key parts of
Yes.
characters' lives. All top 5 episodes of the show, I would say, don't do that.
It swept under the rug a lot of things that I feel like needed to be addressed in the episode, but they didn't address them in order to make it this perfect, happy ending episode. And I feel like I like when they get gritty. I like when they deal with issues. I don't need a perfect ending, and I feel like they were definitely trying to go for that perfect ending, which is fine. We need a little happiness now and then, and especially gay couples who don't get a lot of that in media.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it having a happy ending, but it could have gone about it a little better, but not a bad episode by any means. The next episode, number 8, Be Right Back.
Yes! Ah!
I don't think it's a god tier episode. I do really like it though, and I want to watch it again. Just because it does disturbing and weird in a better way than, say, National Anthem. It does disturbing in a way that I can believe, and in a way that, like, gets under my skin, but not in a totally icky way. It's like, ooh, that's really weird, but I can see people who would do that, and that creeps me out because humans are fucking weird.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I think it tackles the idea of coping with loss well. I dislike tremendously everything that has to do with the bringing back of the person. I think it handles the idea of Frankensteining a loved one back in a haphazard kind of way. And I'll be honest, this is on par with one of my least favorite endings of a Black Mirror episode. I hate the ending of this episode. It left the worst feeling of nothingness in my body. I love the actors in it. I love the dude from Star Wars, and I love Peggy Carter. I think they're...
He's from Harry Potter first, so...
I did not watch much Harry Potter. Thank you. He does not sell the pleading of an android at all in that final scene. When they're on the cliff, and she's like, make me believe you're him. I didn't like the delivery of that line. I didn't like that line in general. And then I also hate his follow-up response. Like how he tries to sell it. I would have still shoved him off a fucking cliff. I would have done it. I'd have shoved him. I get it, and I get why people like it. I just don't.
That's fair. I feel less weirded out and let down by it, I think. As someone who enjoys sci-fi, the logistics of bringing him back, it was like... They could have committed to that a little bit more. They could have done the tech part of it a lot better.
For sure. Like in Men Against Fire, it deals with its initial question or subject matter in a poor manner.
This is the number 7 spot, playtest.
Yeah.
So, you made me like this episode more than I did originally.
Really?
Because originally, it's because I didn't have a strong connection to what the episode was about. And after talking with you, it made me appreciate the content a little bit more. But I don't think this is a bad episode. Obviously, VR, freaking up and coming. Here we are.
Yeah.
VR is here.
Kojima's ruling the world, baby.
It was scary. I was scared in parts of that episode. And it was just a fucking trip. Like, my heart rate was through the roof the entire episode. And that was great. It just... This is, like, just totally a personal thing. Like, I didn't have a connection to that episode, to the ending of it. I didn't get it. It didn't click with me at first. And that's just a personal thing. That's not anything the episode did wrong.
And I know that my love of this episode is purely personal. And it's very indebted. I'm already tearing up just thinking about it. I fucking hate this episode. I can't... Like, this is the first episode of Black Mirror I watched. It was a recommendation to watch it. And I have never had... As you can see, I've never had such a strong connection personally to a lot of the moral choices done by the protagonist. And it's intrinsically tied to one of my bigger passions in life. And so I just felt like... I felt steamrolled while finishing that episode. And so, yeah. It's an episode I'll never watch again. It came at a point where it made me really think about myself. And I already do that a lot. And it made me think about the things I've done and made me feel really shitty. I love this episode. VR was in a very small genesis when this episode came out. And now it's the biggest thing, like, in gaming. So it was very prolific. Like you said, it also just has a great way it tells the story. It's terrifying. The use of like messing with your mind is great.
It was a great story. It saw itself through to the end fully.
It never stops giving, and it until it does, and you feel like something else should be coming. And again, this is a very personal thing, but it is probably one of the like top 10 best episodes of a television show I've ever seen. That's my TED Talk about why Playtest is a great episode of Black Mirror, and it's my favorite.
I love that for you.
I don't.
Next up, at the number 6 spot, I have Hang the DJ. So I like this one a lot. I think it did things better. Even though San Junipero is very different, it's still, basically a love story. I think it did a love story better than some of the other episodes. I honestly don't really have anything super negative to say about it because the episodes above it are just ones that blew my mind and just have to go above it. This one did a happy ending well. And it did it in a way that didn't make me mad, and it made sense. Because it could have had a bad ending. It could have had a really, shitty ending where no one was happy, like Striking Vipers. But it didn't. It had a very good ending that was fulfilling and made sense and was like, hey, that's really cool.
Yeah. I think the big reason why San Junipero is above this is how it tells its story. Because I think everything else involving the characters is better than in San Junipero. I love the climax of this episode. I think it's entertaining, it's enthralling, and then it has this really unique twist I didn't see coming. It was a lot of fun, and it was, like you said, it's a really well told love story, and it's more optimistic feeling than San Junipero in my eyes in that regard.
So number 5 is Bandersnatch for me. This, I absolutely fucking loved Bandersnatch.
Yeah.
And again, this is it's not 5 because it's it had, shortcomings. It's 5 because there were just 4 things I loved more than it.
Yeah.
The experience of going through it and seeing the ways that this person's life gets basically torn apart by his own doing, well, by your doing, I guess. It was just so fascinating to go back and see the other side of things. And I went through so many different story paths and I still didn't see everything.
Same.
And that was just so fascinating to me that they did this. The only complaint I would have is that the time spent on this and the production on this may have taken away from time spent on season 5.
Oh, for sure.
Which is why things, kind of fell short in season 5 for me. But Bandersnatch was worth it.
Like I said about Nosedive, saying that it was when Black Mirror became what it was writing about. This is when Black Mirror became an episode of Black Mirror, because the idea of making this sort of production is well within the realms of something Charlie would just write a story about. But instead, he just made a really cool thing with it. And I like the idea of taking a passive medium and making it active. This does what Sega and a bunch of companies were wanting to do in the 90s. This makes that kind of thing, but it does it perfectly. Hollywood is aware of Black Mirror, and they try to make their own Black Mirror things. This epitomized why doing something feature length needs to be done in the hands of someone like this, because it's creative, it's inventive, it's weird, and so interesting as delving into that aspect of nerd culture.
Agreed. It's an amazing experience. I want to go through and do it again and try to catch there were 2 or 3 endings I think I didn't get. So it's like a video game. It was meta in the best way possible.
Absolutely.
And I loved it.
Oh yeah, it was so dope. And what's sad is though I don't want anything else like it. I don't want another one of these. I'm happy with this.
We're good.
It's been perfect the first time.
When the scene came up where you kill the dad, my heart, it was I felt like I was actually gonna fucking kill this guy. I avoided shaking.
it. I avoided it, but it makes you do it. And I'm like, fuck! It's a Black Mirror episode. That's right. Nothing is good. Everything sucks.
So my number 4 spot is Crocodile.
That's my number 5.
So Crocodile I really liked because I'm a huge fan of murder mysteries, and I feel like this was a murder mystery where you're in on it the whole time.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It kept getting more and more batshit, but in a way that worked, and in a way where the ending of the episode and the tech used was so satisfying.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to sympathize with this character. She's fucking cold. She's a murderer. She obviously doesn't regret any fucking thing she does.
No.
And, it's rewarding at the end of the episode. Not that the show has to be rewarding, not that it has to give you the ending you want, but this one does. Yeah. Even though you're not sympathizing with this character, you're feeling nervous for her because, like, she's going to get found out somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
how
much
go?
more
Yeah.
can you do and get away with it before this catches up to you? And I just thought it was so fascinating and so well done and so well acted.
Oh yeah, I think the acting, like I've heard some people harp about how they get her, but like I thought that was neat. I thought that was cool.
I thought it was
cool.
I
thought it was cool. I like the sort of inversion of like telling a murder mystery from the murderer's perspective. Because I felt so disconnected from the protagonist, I had just a fun time with it. Everything is tied up really well. The story comes full circle in a great way, and you feel so satisfied with the ending. You don't have any questions whatsoever, and it's so good. It's so good.
Number 3, I have White Christmas with my zaddy John Hamm. When I was mentioning how there was a lot going on in Black Museum, there's a lot going on in White Christmas because you have to balance these stories of several different characters. And it's all just fucking mind-blowing. And it gets more and more, it gets deeper and deeper into it. And it starts revealing things about people that you didn't expect coming.
Up.
When he sees his kid, when his kid turns around and his kid is Asian. And it's...
That was fucking... Oh my god.
That was like one of my top Black Mirror moments.
Yes. So like, I adore this episode. Not just because I love John Hamm, but like, he is amazing in this. His segment where it sets up his crime also is like a pocket Black Mirror episode. This had so many good moments stacked into it. The tech was really interesting and explored artificial intelligence in such a different way. Everything that does AI, it does it like it is soulless. And when it gets emotion, that's when it's fucked up. But like, it has emotions, it has feelings, and yet apparently people don't care. And like you said, like that moment, like my jaw hit the fucking floor. And then it just keeps going. It doesn't let you stop to think about it because it gets fucked up. And it's dark in all the ways I love that when Black Mirror does, and it doesn't feel over the top with it.
Top 2, number 2. Yeah. So this, I think, is a point of contention between us as well.
Minor one.
So USS Callister.
Yes.
It tackled something that, like, I really enjoyed seeing tackled in an episode, and that's basically, like, toxic, creepy male, techie sci-fi gamer culture.
Oh, for
which
sure.
I was like, kudos to you, Black Mirror, because you did this really well. I just really enjoyed that justice was served and not in a way that was, like, far-fetched.
Mm-hmm.
The ending, actually, when I saw what had happened to the creepy, toxic gamer dude, it made my jaw drop. I was like, oh my god, they went there, they did that. Like, I can't believe it. I'm so happy.
I like how it handled its subject matter as far as, like, tackling the toxic side, the toxic masculine side of gaming culture. I think it handles that really well. Fat Matt Damon does a great job at playing this really villainous dude who is a great embodiment of that aspect of gamer culture. The parts of the Star Trek parody I felt like weren't done that well. And the episode kind of has a meandering second act. They could have tightened it up a little better. I love that they actually, like, they went there with this character, and I love his comeuppance. I, like, the shot of him on his couch, or chair or whatever, oh, so good! My biggest issues that set it apart from, like, a top 5 are those details that I feel like could have made the story told a little better, because like you said, it's an important topic to talk about, and again, I want a show like this to talk about stuff like that, and I think it handles the subject better than it does some other subject it decides to tackle.
I think just for me, just what the episode was about and how it ended, it just like drove it up for me so high that like I will never get over that episode. It'll always have a place in my heart.
You could say it's like a
even if
like a playtest scenario.
Yeah, definitely.
And I could
it's
see that. I could totally see that.
Something personal to me that I'm like, I'm so glad they did that, and they did it in a way that felt good enough. So now it comes down to the very last episode,
and I'm surprised a little bit.
You're surprised?
Oh, well, not because I'm surprised it's your number one.
So my number one most favorite episode of Black Mirror of all time so far is Shut Up and Dance.
Yes.
If you're a fan of Black Mirror, obviously you, by process of elimination, you knew that was coming. Yeah. This was something that was equal parts heartbreaking and
horrifying.
Horrifying, shocking. It was something that ended so deeply uncomfortable, but in a way that was like, I don't want to say fulfilling, because it's an episode essentially about pedophilia. It just took it to a place that I was never expecting Black Mirror to go, because, the episode, it starts with the whole, like, troll face, like, anonymous, kind of 4chan-esque, like, anonymous blackmail type of thing.
Yeah.
And it went to a place, like, you're watching this poor kid do all these terrible, like, sketchy things. He's robbing
so
a bank,
for him.
peeing his pants. You're like, oh my god, like, what is happening? Someone just, like, call the police. Someone help this poor boy. And then the second the man that he's supposed to fight utters the line, how old were they? I fucking gasped and started crying. So I was just so affected and shocked and jarred, and just, it came out of nowhere. And I think what takes this episode to the next level for me is that when you rewatch it, you pick up on all the little things and you can get the clues. And it makes it more uncomfortable, but just much more, like, well-rounded. I don't know if it's necessarily encapsulating of what Black Mirror is, but it's encapsulating of what I like Black Mirror to do.
I think Shut Up and Dance should be everybody's first episode of Black Mirror. And it's because, one, it exists in the world that is today. This episode could definitely happen. It does what White Bear tried to do and make you sympathize with a disgusting human being. And just spits in your face and makes you realize life sucks and you're going to fucking die someday. Again, the ending is a gut punch. The use of Radiohead's Exit Music for a film is also so good. Oh my god! So, like, this is what I feel like Black Mirror should be. And this is why episodes like this, like White Christmas, again, I'm discounting playtest because it's a super personal thing, but White Christmas, Shut Up and Dance, Crocodile, even Bandersnatch, episodes of this quality are why I hate White Bear, 15 Million Merits, Nosedive, so much. Not everybody's a saint. You could feel bad for this kid, but he's got some shit he clearly doesn't want to get out there, And the writing, the way it's framed, every aspect of this episode is perfect. Plant seeds of intrigue from the get-go, and that is the strength of this episode, hands down. And because of its impactful twist, it lets subsequent viewings be a completely different experience, unlike every other episode of this show.
It's the perfect balance of, how technology can be absolutely destroying of people's lives. It can be incredibly harmful. It's also an example of, not necessarily technology being used for good, but being used for justice.
Yes.
Kind of vigilante justice.
Yeah.
And so it's got that balance. It's not saying, ooh, technology can be good, or ooh, technology bad. It's like this weird amalgamation of how humans have grown to use technology and have created their own uses for it that, can be used to destroy or bring justice or anything. And I just think it's great. You don't have this big climax of, someone killing someone else. You don't have...
I mean, you do, but...
Yeah, but that's, that the moment where the episode kind of comes together is not centered on some big event. It's literally just a conversation that happens between two people, and everything, like, clicks in your mind, and you're like, oh my god.
It doesn't talk down to the viewer either. It's so...
It's peak Black Mirror to me, and I think my top 3 or 4, they bring different things to the table that I would like Black Mirror to continue kind of bringing to the table.
I think Black Mirror is magical because it can have this kind of profound effect on people, and because it does something very needed. Because while we have a world full of technology and people are trolls and people rally out against it, there's still like tied to it.
Even the episodes toward the bottom, like, I don't think they're terrible, and I think they add something for the most part. There's some, it's like, but you know, they serve a purpose, and someone out there needed that, and someone out there, someone's favorite episode is Archangel, someone's favorite episode is White Bear, and people connect to things for different reasons and think that things are poignant for different reasons, and I think that's great.
Oh,
I think
for sure.
It's great that there's so many avenues that this show takes that different people can relate to.
Even the episodes I don't like, I think, ask a good question. Even though I'm very passionate against an episode like Nosedive, it's not because of its subject matter, it's because of how it told its story. But Black Mirror, even in its darker moments, even in its worst moments, has, like you said, has a reason to say what it's saying, and it's going to resonate with somebody. And I think that's incredible.
That's a good note to end on. It's like, even though we shit talked a lot of episodes, like, it's there's some job that it's doing out there for someone, and that's all that matters, really. Who cares what we think? If you like the episodes we hate, good for you. Also, tell us why, because
tell us why.
I'm intrigued. Like,
I love, like, even though I disagree with Shake, I loved hearing his reason why he liked 15 Million Merits, even though I think it's a hot ball of poopy poops. You know? And it's written by one dude, which is the biggest thing that blows my mind every time I think about this show. It's one motherfucker. Like, while he does tackle some subjects multiple times, he doesn't do it outside of Striking Vipers. He doesn't do it exactly the same way. And even Striking Vipers isn't exactly like San Junipero. It's just very close to it.
We're obviously in a technological age, not to be we live in a society ass bitch, but like,
listen, we live in a society.
A lot of people can relate to this stuff, you know, even though we're like, oh, we need technology's good, like, you know, we get it, it can be bad and addicting, but it's like, when you really strip things down and look at, you know, what they're doing in Black Mirror and how it relates to our lives, it's like, it can be really poignant, and it can be cheesy and over the top at times, but and you know, preachy, as we've been saying, but I do think it adds a lot to the conversation of where we're headed and where we've been as a technologically advanced society. For
sure. It's a great counterbalance, not to get all Thanos up in here, but it's a great counterbalance to this overabundance of obsession and fascination with it. And I mean, I love the internet. It's probably the best thing mankind will invent until we finally get to space and get to stay there. And I love when horror gets what's the word I'm looking for? It has a moral past the blood and the gore or the shock. And that's another reason why I think Black Mirror works, is because it isn't always scary, but it's trying to be impactful. You know, whether it's by making a B movie featuring Boston Dynamics, or, you know, making a 20-something cry and call his mom. Whether you want to address it or not, it's a necessary thing that I feel like is important.
I think it's a way for people to address it, or at least acknowledge it, without actually having to directly tackle it. Like, even if people are uncomfortable with being like, yeah, I'm addicted to social media, yeah, like, my phone has made me, like, a different person, or whatever the situation is, like, this is a way for them to, like, acknowledge that, or see that, or be able to recognize that in themselves. But this show is, like, kind of moving that conversation forward, or at least trying to, and I think that's important. But yeah, if anyone watching this has any severely differing opinions or things we didn't mention about certain episodes or production or anything like that, please hit us up.
Throw them in the comments. Hit them on Twitter.
Vomit on me in the comments. Come yell at us. Come share your thoughts and opinions.
Yeah. Please tell me why I'm wrong for once.
Yeah, tell me why I'm wrong, but also tell me, like, why I'm right, because I need that little boost.
Yeah, please tell me why you agree Playtest is the best episode of Black Mirror, because I've never met a single person that agrees with me.
If you're out there,
hit me up.
I got his number, but you're not allowed to have it. I'm just bragging that I have his number, because we're friends.
Because we're buddies. We're pals. We're good friends in here. No, but thanks for having me. It was a good time.
Yeah,
It was a lot of
course.
fun. Yeah.
We'll probably do some sort of collaboration again in the future
Of
on some
course.
other nonsense
Of
that we're
course.
both into. Do you want to plug any of your other socials or your Patreon or
Oh, yeah.
anything?
Everywhere, I am ViralRak, VaralRak. I got a Patreon. I got a YouTube. I got a Tweetster. I got a bunch of stuff. I say words. I am the embodiment of someone who should be paying attention to Black Mirror, essentially.
But yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone, if you made it this far. And I'll be back maybe in the next few weeks, hopefully. But thanks for hanging out. This has been real. This has been Black Mirror. Hot takes, cold takes, lukewarm takes. Take out, take home.
Take on me.
Take on Me by Aha.
Not
And we'll
Weezer.
catch you later, everyone.
Goodbye.